Alright, we unmute the audio and we start grabbing things to get going. Swap the channel and say hi to people. If anybody ever watches from the beginning, or people just joining in now that things going haywire. But Oda, welcome. We're getting started. Going to hopefully finish last week's piece we started, the Machine Warrior. Um, I'm hoping I'll be starting kind of focusing largely on the background as our first thing that we'll be doing, and then I'll focus on the characters, shading and stuff. Uh, so without too much further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. And I managed to import the brush sets that I had not imported yet. They give me access to my cloud brush that I like using. So that's very good. Let me get down to the layers that I'm working on with the background. I'm going to focus on the buildings first. I'm going to kind of clean up. I'm going to stick with this silhouette design. And see if I can remember just brightness. Going to go full blackout mode for these right now. Just completely full on blackout mode. That's just the look, the aesthetic I'm going for with this. And bum, let's see. I think yes. Now we'll sharpen up our buildings here a little bit. We kind of, I'm actually going to start from the top of the buildings. Kind of find a good spot there. It's like I finally learned what some of the buttons where I need working with this version on the PC. No. Oh. See how fast I can get through this. I've always kind of not enjoyed doing backgrounds. A lot of the backgrounds that I managed to make that I like a lot, I utilize the airbrush tool majority of the time. So it's like not going too heavily detailed with backgrounds, and that's just where my comfort zone is with those things. We're going to sharpen up these buildings and move from there, see what else I'll do as far as like maybe layering some buildings and adding a small amount of lighting to them to help distinguish between, you know, what's the furthest out, what's a little bit closer, something like that. Alright. There. Nope. Trying to get relatively even here. I know once I get them sharpened up here, I think I'll be happy with how the initial layout looks, and then might just layer on top of them. See, about there. A little off, but it'll be fine. Who else is going to count pixels besides me? And going to be utilizing that button on the pen to get used to it instead of just fighting it. Alright, yes, get used to the button, find the button. Okay, so like once I had the character in, see, there we go, we've sharpened up, starting to look a little bit more like a city skyline. I imagine I add in a couple more layers maybe, that could do something. So I'm gonna kind of do that just so I can see where I'm going to be layering the next layer. I'm going to probably do a shorter layer here. And I need this brush. And we're going to go full on black there. Alright. Alright. There we go. Just going to quickly do a layer here. Huh. That is totally different. How you could have... Okay. Stick with... Let's get these the same. So that it stops messing with me. Or at least relatively the same. I'll make these ones like a little bit wider since they're supposed to be closer. I make something like this be like an outcropping maybe, or a structure on top of one of the roofs. Okay, undo that. Back to our pen. Actually, I need to have that deselected because I'm afraid it'll cause some issues. Yeah, it already. So, I'll go back over that. Something like this. And now we'll clean up again. Find that button. Whoop. Delete. Delete. It's awkward what it's doing there. I wonder what exactly is with it showing the lines there. What? Alright. Okay, it's just with the opacity layer behind it. Do. So, I'm gonna fully get rid of this right here. all the way down. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it all the way down. Yeah, there we go. Alright. So now, let me think here how I might want to do some highlights a little bit. But I do see, alright, we're still on that brush. Just have to deselect this. Just, no, probably wasn't visible on the stream very clearly, but I saw it. Just a small little detail. So, looking at that, let me try doing just, before we do that, actually, this might help me better visualize what I want to do for any sort of highlights on buildings to kind of give some depth to them, a little bit more depth. I'm going to finish working on the sky. So I'm going to move more of the brightness, the brighter areas, more to the left of the image. With that one. So we kind of have it be brought over a little bit more like this, and darker over on the other side. So a little bit darker over on this side. What's a good green I can build off of? Down, blues. Now darken up more sky. Let's see here. Just much softer. I'm gonna zoom out. Nice big brush. Get some darkness in there, and then I'll bring it back up a little bit. Okay. Getting there. So it's not so gray. Ah, that did not look good. Alright, we'll leave it there. And then let's throw some clouds in next. All the way down here. Nope. Let me stick with my color palette to start off. Let's see here. Kind of bring that down. And just start throwing something in here. Alright. Touch too small. So one thing with clouds is like I have an aesthetic I want to go for, but I am still very novice at making them, so I just kind of throw stuff together until, squint your eyes until it looks doable as cloud stuff. And it's like, since I don't know how best I should be, how much I should group, various cloud formations together. Should I have them more spread out? And most of the time, I'm dealing with stuff that is more of the cumulo uh, or nimbus. Those structures, less of uh, the wispy or the wavy stuff. It's a lot more the billowy types of clouds that I end up working with. Just kind of sort of some stuff in the distance, and add and remove as we need to. Something big right there. Whoop. Kind of build this one just a touch more. Go in real fine on some of these further out clouds now. Little bit of detail on. No, I don't like how that looked on that one, but this bottom one, yeah, okay with that. It's all just guesswork when I'm throwing clouds together. Alright. Go ahead. Just a little bit more on this guy, get some definition towards the top. It's looking a little better. Some similarness to this one over here. Now, it's not that easy to tell right now. Nope, nope, nope. Go one darker. Just throw in a little bit, some more of the dark areas here, because I'm having the clouds kind of be silhouetted as well. And then I'll go underneath the clouds to add highlights on the underneath, so sunlight is shining more from underneath the clouds. That's the angle you're going to be kind of seeing the sunlight bouncing off of, or at least that's the look I'm going for. So tops of clouds just really dark, really silhouetted, and then they'll have the light reflecting off underneath. So the question is, and I'm going to throw that on another layer, is just what color is this light gonna be? I think we're gonna go ahead and find a mix, a combination, something coming off of this color. So let's see what that looks like. Very bright. That's a little better. Let's kind of throw that in just a little bit here. Be kind of hard to see it on the clouds furthest away, but hopefully the effect will uh, work out well overall in the image. Yeah, I'm straying too far away there. Straying just a little too far away. For some reason, doing this, I'm just really focusing, losing concentration for doing talking, so sorry if there's not a whole lot of yeeping and yapping going on right at the moment. So I'm also getting distracted by sounds off to the side of me. It's like, I should go take a look at those. There's something going on I need to be concerned with. But can't exactly look at it right now. And I'll probably play around with the eraser tool just a little bit to clean up basically this lighting layer. I mean, as you can kind of see, it's somewhat coming together. Hmm. Just a little bit of dark there. Darker gold going into it there. Just a smidgen. Just a little smidgen there, kind of golden brown. Not too much. And now I will more from kind of soften it up. Because in some ways it's just a little too bright, but that allows me some room to kind of mess with it just a little bit. Then we'll come in here and help clean up the bottom of these clouds by getting rid of the darker layers underneath the lit up portions so that it really looks like the lit up portions are actually at the bottom of the clouds and not just on the clouds. Some of this just kind of dissolve away a little. Yep, now we're coming together. Break these up just a little bit. Just a little too connected. There. Hey, go away. The final crop, I don't know if these top two spots of clouds are actually going to stay in the image, depending on what I end up doing. If I do a tighter crop, where the top of the image is closer to this area here, maybe I'll move this cloud down first. But I get the feeling like, this isn't going to show up, so I'm not worried about that. But I think that comes in pretty close to what I'm looking for there. And I'm going to go in and lighten up a little bit more of the silhouette of the clouds. Um, just a little too dark in the end here. So we'll just kind of lighten them up a little bit. Leaving room for deeper shadows for sure, though. Let's see here. Now that's too small. There. There. Stick with that for right now. And then let's return back to our buildings, our silhouetted buildings. Darken up that layer because I get distracted, but I can see the clouds coming through because of the opacity. So it just kind of distracts me a little bit. And what I will do is I'm going to go in with the airbrush tool again. I like using the airbrush on backgrounds for everything. I'm going to be using the airbrush tool a lot in this image with the backgrounds and doing the shading. I've decided that's how I'm going to tackle the shading in this one. I'm not going to go the full style of character shading. I might do a combination. There's another picture where I did a combination of the heavy character shading that is, my normal character shading, uh, but then also implementing airbrush into it as well. So I might experiment with that combination. But let's first uh, get a little bit of something on these buildings. And I'm wondering if I should do leave the furthest out buildings darkened out. I'm gonna try something real quick. So in order to try that, I'm going to just brightness contrast. Alright, so that shows me how much that takes that. Do, 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 do. Oh, now that's something I could do. That's a technique I could do. Instead of utilizing the airbrush, continue in this way. just experiment with that for a second. Yeah, that's another technique I've experimented with before. And this time I'm doing the kind of an inverse of what I normally would do, because this is another technique I would use for shading, especially with the background stuff, um, where I would basically get the majority of the background completed, and then I'm working on the lighting for it. I'm like, all right, I want some areas lighter than other areas. I want these areas a little deeper dark, but I don't want to just use airbrush on it. And so I'll just like combine the areas I'm working all down into one layer, duplicate that layer, and generally, when I'm doing the shading, trying to darken it more, I'll uh, go in, change the contrast, the brightness contrast, uh, and so I'll have the duplicate layers, the original unchanged brightness, unshaded layer, and then a uh, relatively or substantially darker version of it above it, and then just go in with the eraser tool and erase the areas where I want there to be more lit up, and then I'm just leaving the darker area of that duplicated and darkened layer uh, superimposed, and I've had some good looking uh, backgrounds come from going that direction with shading them. So I'm kind of doing an inverse of that, where this time I brightened the top layer and the bottom layer is the darkened, the shaded area. So I'm doing the inverse of that this time to experiment, see what this is going to look like. And ultimately, this is all just a little bit of an experimentation here. I might just end up going and, uh, who knows, just do a full-on, uh, straight up two different layers, the two different building layers, and have the furthest one be a slightly lighter layer than the first one, the foreground one. I might end up going that route if this does not look the way I want it to when I get done with it. So, something similar like that. I'm gonna have to close in the gaps just a little bit here, try and get those corners just a little sharper. But that gets a little tricky if I'm not careful. It will become too apparent, too obvious that I'm uh, using a different sized soft eraser going into those corners. But I think I can just squeak by. Yeah, I think we're just squeaking by. Something like that. Alright. Because I can still see areas that are just a little too lit up in my cityscape. Ooh, what are we hitting? What are we hitting? wrong kind of buttons. That's what we're hitting. Feels like we need to darken that corner just a touch. Now, let's do kind of the same thing with this layer. Just the brightness and contrast. I'm not going to go as crazy with that one. See, barely even noticed anything. So I will have to go a little crazier. $75%. There we go. Just enough. Don't like this button. Don't like buttons are active on the side of the pen on this version of the software. Yeah, I don't want the lit areas to be substantially noticeable on the furthest out layer. Ooh, get out of there. So just real quickly gonna go in. You're not gonna notice it a whole lot without looking real close. Once I'm all said and done with this. That's what I want. Go almost all the way across here. Do. Get that area there. This one I can just go real quick on that back layer. There. Yeah. Let's just... Oh, no, that's just a little too high. I might be getting into my shaded, my lit up regions. This button. Clean up just a little bit. Seeing some spots here. Want to clean up. Do. Easy way to maybe see where we're missing things. Yeah, see right there. Sometimes you gotta hide some of those layers so you can find more of the stuff you're trying to tackle. go. It looks weird doing it this way. A little smaller. Okay, that we'll just manually type in the size I want. Go. Do. Alright, we're narrowing in on the spot where I feel comfortable with where the background is at. And I will switch over to shading our character, putting shading on our Machine Warrior 4. Just gonna finish up this as quickly as I can here without going too overboard. And as you can see, some of this is our cloud behind the city skyline. Alright. Can't tell, is that cloud or nope, not all of that's cloud. Just in case that bleeds through, get rid of that rough, that straight contrast there. Alright, and I'm going to go in a little finer on here as well. Just because I don't want that sticking out anymore. There we go. Not really noticing a whole lot there. Depends on the brightness of your computer screen. In fact, I might even just, we'll make that brighter and then I can go in more with changing the brightness here. So I'm gonna max it out a little bit more. And then have a little bit more control with the layer opacity over here of where I kind of want it to sit. So thinking leave it right there for now. And I'll admit, I feel like I need to tackle this just... Oh, that's on the wrong layer. Select the correct layer. There we go. Feel like I need to tackle this just a little bit more. There. Like that. I like that. There. Yeah, I get the feeling this top cloud is going to get cut out. Oh, well. Alright, character shading. Yep, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the regular uh, shading style and then go in with the airbrush over it. So, might be a little more work. We'll see. But it's an hour in. Got the background mostly done. The important area of the background. Like I'm not focused on the, you know, rooftop he's currently on, the background he's currently interacting with. So let's bring. Oh, that's where the opacity is on there. Okay, that's where that number is. I'm like, I can't see where my opacity number is on my layer. I don't like that. Climb all the way back up to... Oh, here it is. That's the paintbrush I like using for these portions. So, let's kind of get an idea here. Okay. I get these numbers the same. There. Down. Too far down. Let's do... Yeah, I like that. And just quickly go over it, making adjustments where I need to. So he's going to be heavily shaded, that is for sure. Doing the shading on the cloth just a little tricky. It's like how are the folds and the ripples flowing on it? Come down here onto the hand, the arm. Yeah. Like so. So where I'll come in just in little areas here and there to erase as I'm working on how I want this shading to go. And I'm definitely planning on leaving the shading pretty darkened out so that there will be a pretty stark contrast between the light that's shining on him and he's heavily uh, in shadow, or we're seeing him more from the heavily shadowed side of his body. Um, try and leave some areas for highlight, or I'll be experimenting with that a little bit. And just getting the feeling, making the adjustments as I need to. Character shading is something that I am still very much growing and learning in. Experimenting, seeing like what looks right. I'm getting better at it over time, of being able to judge on the 2D image, even in these more cartoon stylized characters. Just kind of, all right, translate this to their real individuals. Uh, how is light bouncing off of them? How are shadows being cast on them as well? Uh, I'm far from perfect. I'm getting better here and there. There's some areas where I feel a lot better, especially when it's like I know the character rather well. Um, when I start working with characters I don't draw as often, it's like, okay, I think it should look like this, but I'm still just guessing. Other characters, primarily my, in Worlds Apart, the main cast of characters, I'm very comfortable with applying the shading on those guys. Very comfortable, um, especially over the years as I've refined, trying to um, define the heads better. Uh, in the past, it was like hard to show off kind of what the true 3D version of their heads would seem like in the style that I have for these characters. And I was getting better and better, and it's like, but when I started working on uh, trying to uh, show them more and more head on, directly head on, slightly from an angle, and less from a profile version, um, where I only have to draw one eye at a time. I was like, as I was working on drawing, okay, I got to draw both eyes. You got to be able to see where they're looking at, get an idea of a better sense of what they're looking at, how they're looking at things. I needed to learn how to better define the shape of the head uh, on in an image, and so just over years practicing a little bit more with the head on and just ever so slightly off at an angle, and applying, throwing in, make sure I'm drawing as much of the facial features as should be seen from those angles. I improved, and I just got comfortable and was really working and experimenting with that and growing with the shading as well as on those characters. But a lot of other characters I don't draw as often, and so it's like, okay, you know, I don't have the full confidence that I'm portraying them uh, uh, accurately, in the image, especially with the shading. So it's definitely an area I'm still growing and improving in. I feel a lot better about it than I did, say, 5 or 10 years ago with this stuff. Okay, I keep hitting the X and it doesn't want to go away. So what gives? Go away. Go away. Uh-huh. I know a way to get around you. We'll get around you not wanting to uh, work properly. Then it'll was not shut. Yes, it was shut down correctly. Okay, there we go. Now I'm hesitant to like bring this up, and all right, it's not going away. That's good. So with that brief annoyance out of the way, let's get back to looking here. Look over shading. It's more. Oop, black for the shaded layer. Clean it up. Clean up all the shading on the iris. A little bit there. Kind of lit from the bottom. Might even just kind of have it brought up a little bit. No, no, I don't think that should do. I don't think I should do that. A little bit of light coming across there. Let's clean up these areas with now. Looking at that. Experiment here. I'll erase some of this. Have that come out like this. Not quite. Kind of have it come in and do a little bit of that ripple. Not too crazy. We're not going to experiment too much there. That is an area that could potentially need some touch up over time. But overall, that initial layer looking good in my eyes. Just think about how the light would potentially be coming off here, across here. So I might just do a quick little something like that. Nothing crazy. And I'm gonna have to hide a couple of the background layers. So that I can catch the rest of this racing that I need to do right there. Boop, boo, doo, 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 doo. Let's take a closer look here in the hands. The one thing was, like, after last week, I was looking at this hand here, and I was like, I want to change the thumb, but I think what I'm just going to do is rework, kind of the placement of the railing a little bit so that it lines up a little nicer looking. Let's see here. Let's have that come up. This come down a little smoother round like that. And we'll try and get just a touch on the hilt there. We're gonna darken up the handle. I think leave everything else alone. I'm gonna experiment real quick, like right in here with that. What does that look like? I don't like that. Sometimes it's just, I don't like it. There we go. Clean up shading layer, and I'm going to clean up the color layer now too. I did not do that last week. I'm going to do it this week. If I can find what layer is that on. What layer is that on? Oh, okay, that is on the shading layer. Okay. That little speck. Where is that little speck from? Okay, that's the line layer right there, what I'm seeing there. Need to add in something that I can catch some colors. Let's do that color. And I'll get rid of that layer once I'm done here. Okay, get off that. I'm gonna catch as much of the out of the line stuff. Won't catch everything, every little detail, but enough for purposes of this image's final form. Fortunately, I don't think there was as much outside of the lines. I stayed in the lines relatively well. But there are some areas inside the lines that I will touch up, just one or two spots. That's all on the shading layer. Here. Okay. Let's close in here. There's that. Let's see. It's... Nope. This color there. Ba, ba, ba. Black on the handle. Back to this. The bluish metal on the chest and headpiece. It's on a different palette screen. I wish I could have gotten all my colors on one screen there, on one. Don't have to change back and forth. Would really love to have been able to do that, but just not enough this time. Not enough room. Okay. Gonna get concerned down here. Alright. There we are. So now let's get rid of that layer. You can start kind of seeing how the picture's coming together here. Now that we got some lighting on our central character, it's coming together a lot nicer. And definitely, I'm definitely going to go back in with the airbrush in the shading. So I'll be softening, creating a gradient of in the shadow areas. Just darken up more of the areas to just have things pop out a little bit more. I did that once on one other image with the Hive Queen character. Let's see, do I to show what I'm talking about? It's like, do I have that on this computer or not? Let me find out. No. Nope, not on this computer. Darn. It's on the other computer. Gosh darn. You can see in some of these areas, once I apply a different color behind, it pops out some other areas where I need to clean up. There we are. I'm going to go in here in the eye real quick and add some more color. Kind of throw in the iris. We're going to go in with this red here. Bring down our airbrush a lot more. Let's say 5 for right now. Something like that. Let me zoom out and see what that looks like. Actually, hold on. I'm going to quickly look up a reference here. Decide if I actually really want to go that full route with the eye. I kind of feel like I'm going to be changing up the look of the eye a little bit over time. Alright, so I think I might just stick with that. But it's interesting. Like, I give most of my machine characters, you know, the red eyes, the red optical sensors or whatnot, even though they're not, you know, evil. It's just a default color that I decided to use for a number of my machine characters. Yeah, that kind of helped kind of give a little seeming amount of depth to the eye. Not crazy, not ridiculous, but it helped. Because once I zoom back out, yeah. Oops. Yeah, there we are. I like that. If I like it, it's good. Now, on a new layer, we'll go in with the airbrush with some more shading. And we'll have to pick how we're going across this. I might do it in a couple layers. Might take a couple layers between the various amounts of what has to be shaded and the different portions of the character. So it's like already it's coming together. Already I'm liking it. So definitely gonna go a lot darker there. Okay. Definitely here. Gonna go as dark as we can go without being full on black in these areas here. Just check this real quick. And get back in there. I think we can touch this arm right here on this layer. Yeah. Now what we're going to do, we're going to clean up. Okay, so I gotta remember, this is at 73. And I'm definitely going to go over this with a couple layers. Hold on. I can actually, let's get in there. Like a little bit of the fabric that's peeking in that corner. Okay, hold on. Could just fully take this in like so, since I'm adding in this arm onto that layer. Yeah. So it'll take a few layers to get all the way through it. But the result should look pretty good. I've done it a few times like this, two or three times, and I've enjoyed the results every single time. So let's see here. Where's the bottom of this airbrush there? Come off to the side. Let's do a lasso select so that I'm not wasting an absurd amount of time trying to physically erase things, and let's just full on delete that as is. And I guess I gotta unselect. Alright, I just gotta create a break right there so that I can go in with the lasso tool and do it in more of a one fell swoop kind of a motion here. Just kind of guessworking. Because you gotta go around that little triangle. There we are. Select, go in here. All the way down on this side. I'm just going to give myself a little bit more room to work with that lasso tool. Lasso select tool. See where the bottom is there. Alright. Go in. And circle around. That, and delete that portion. Now, I need to recreate that one layer, and I'm going to go ahead and use, oh, that's not going to be helpful. There we are. That way I can see this area here instead of trying to go through and hiding all of the background layers. Okay. This way I can actually just one color to work with there. One solid color. Now I have no clue how many like these techniques are things that a lot of other artists uh, use themselves. Uh, any of this stuff is like taught. Like these things are techniques that some of which I've seen other artists, from tutorials or whatnot, or have just developed over time by myself, just working with uh, this particular program in general. Uh, I've only taken like one or two, like one for sure kind of art class situation. So I've never really taken art classes outside of just kind of watching some other tutorials, some a few tutorial videos here and there. It's like everything that I have done is largely in that self-taught um, realm of schooling. So it's like if there are better ways of doing things, I just haven't seen it. I haven't gone out and looked for it, or I haven't uh, improved to get to that point. So this is largely just like this is just the style that and the methods that I've learned over time. Uh, Still learning, will continue to learn and push what I know over time as I seek to, you know, uh, fine tune my style or experiment in new styles. Be like, I would like to try drawing something that looks like this. How do I do that? Well, I'm gonna have to look up some information on that. So it's just over time, you know, you push yourself in the areas you want to grow. You're like, I want to do better with airbrushing in my images. Well, I can look up tutorials. I can also just go and start experimenting until I uh, start having results that I'm happy with, I'm comfortable with. So it's like there are different ways you can go about that for sure. Most of the time, the way that I have gone about it has just been self experimenting, seeing, what I can try out, what else I can do. Let's see. Let me get that down to 73. So it's in line with the other layer. I feel like it was just being a little too dark. Alright. Going to come in here. Zoom in and go in there. Yo, did I get the right color when I started doing that? Sometimes I don't, second guess myself. Might even just bring that back a little bit. Not too crazy. But go crazy anyway. there. Oh, you button, you got in the way. There we are. Let's see here. We're in that region there. There. Let's tackle up here. Yeah. Start cleaning up this. So that we can see what all we actually did. If it looks good, if it looks terrible. Stay on this layer. Get annoyed with some of the sensitivity on that little red X. Yeah, we don't need that triangle on this layer. Okay, got there. That's good, that's good. So we easy cleanup down here along the hands, fingers, the digits. Most of the time when I'll be drawing for in the comics series, like I will not end up actually being this detailed with the hands, the digits. Um, like that's just a little more than I want to show, so it'll be much more uh, simplified. So like these lines here to show more the width of the digit. It's like I'm not going to be emphasizing those or displaying those hardly at all actually in the comic series. Just, cuts down on time I spend drawing the character, especially since 4 is a more detailed character design than a lot of the other main cast. Um, so, regardless, it's like I'd be spending more time sketching him up and drawing him than a number of the other characters. Uh, so it's like in whatever areas that I can uh, get away with, just simplifying the design as much as I stay with it, stick with it. And that's one of those areas on his character is with the hands that I can just real quickly throw in the general general shape, 2, 3 lines here and there, give those triangular digits of his, their positioning. Uh, and leave it at that. I don't need to go in depth on his hands every single panel. So, uh, you know, not that I imagine people would be staring that much at his hands anyway, being like, you didn't draw them properly. It's like, nope, I drew them the way I was gonna draw them. I'm just gonna bring it down to there, get rid of that amount, and not go crazy. Here we are. think there's just one more layer that I will probably tackle with shading, and then I will step back, take a look at it, and decide if there's any other areas I will want to touch up before moving on to the what I think and hope will be the final portion of this image, which will be the structure he's on, the rooftop that he is on. Um, and hopefully get that tackled. Okay, so yeah, what I need to do here is throw in there and the hilt and I think maybe the belt there. So just kind of this area right there might be the main thing. And I might go in here a little bit more. Take a look. Just go in there right now. I'm on this layer. The hand design on for same hand design transplanted from uh, one of the first robot characters in one of my old comics from when I was a kid. I mean, like, between the ages of, uh, 6 and 10 when I started creating this comic series. And it was around the age of 10, I think, is when I really started. Let's see here. Uh, no, it would not have been 10. I would have been about 12 or 13, I think. Yeah, about 12 or 13. Uh, I have dates, like very specific dates, like in the comic, that I can go back to and draw from. But these were old comics uh, centered around DJ, the talking dog, and I ended up doing a lot of time travel shenanigans. Uh, that was like the majority of it. Like when I came back to the character and decided to do, um, uh, you know, some new comics for the character, I was like, all right, I'm gonna heavy inspirations from like Bill and Ted's uh, Excellent Adventure. Uh, First comic right off the bat, it's like I'm going to do a time travel comic, and they're going to go to the future, and so obviously there are robots in the future. And then the first robot design I did on it is basically just this little spherical guy, uh, you know, uh, this sphere with arms uh, on one wheel. That was basically it. And then, he had, basically these three triangles for the hands. And that hand design, uh, over time, got evolved and showed up in his the hand design on 4. Uh, where it has evolved a little bit is showing in kind of the the joints of the hand now. But in the beginning, it was simply three triangles, on the ball of the hand, were the fingers and the digits, and just very plain, simple design. But I could make it so expressive. I was like, I loved it. It's like this is great. It's so simple, so expressive. It's perfect. So I kept it and bring up full design into 4, just slight modifications so you can see the joints, where the joints are on the hand. That's like, yep, not gonna change it. I like I can draw them easily, just in any way I feel like. Uh, there's not a lot that I have to change or update on the design. Just a small tweak here and there. It's like beautiful. And I'm very pleased with it. It's just one of more of those simple things in it, and it adds character to him. I mean, everything about him has character. It's like I hope that every element I add into my characters adds to their character. So, and 4, he's got a significant amount of stuff going on in his design that builds his character. Sometimes I think every now and then I'm like, should I, you know, slim back, draw back, subtract some elements? Is there anything that I could simplify, draw back from? And it's like over time, it's just like looking at it, having drawn him repeatedly over these years, like, no, this is the character's design. It it fits where it is right now, and you know, I wish in some ways that he was more of a main character, so I could draw him more often. And so I guess that's why like I want to do some of these standalone images just so I can draw the character more often. So, all right. Slipping back, kind of taking a look at here. It looks off because we haven't done anything with the structure, the rooftop that he is on here. But fairly pleased with the background. I'm kind of liking what's going on with the shading here. We'll see if there's any touch-ups or uh, areas that we'll go over again. But it's got the rough look that I'm looking for. So now we shall go ahead and attempt to quickly do something with our background. I'm gonna our rooftop setting. I'm gonna do this because I'm going to move our lines. Quick transform. Is this the full layer? Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's because I kind of want them slightly different uh, placement with the hands. So something like that. No, still not quite looking exactly how I want. So just bring it up a lot more. Trying to find that sweet spot of just how thick it is. But I want that line to come right in between the thumb and the first finger. It's where I want that line. So, see where that's going to place things. Alright, okay. See. Let's get our ruler, our straight edge out. That's it. Just go in real quick. Kind of finish off sort of what's the back corner here. Might as well get rid of the line so I can kind of I think we're gonna have to finish bringing this line up a little bit. we are. Finish adding in, realigning our flat color here. I think it was this color. Yep. At least I hope that was correct. Yeah. Making sure I'm on the correct layer helps as well. I'm going to do all the way like that. Go over the lines and then clean up. And I'm just going to leave that there and start shading in. Let's see if I can add in some texture first. What could I do for texture? What looks good for texture? Somewhere in here. I'm gonna go a little bit of a speckly mess first. Throw in a little bit of light speckles as well. I might even need to bring them down a little bit in size and then go over again. Then, let's see, is there another one we could kind of maybe do some smudging, some smears, grime? We'll test with another layer, just kind of, see what could fit. Oh. Oh, okay. I think what I'll just do is come back to my airbrush tool and just kind of blindly, randomly throw in some coloration here. A little larger. This is all just experimentation on this end of the spectrum with these elements here. If we bring these down in opacity, Yes, yes. Kind of get in here a little bit. Make it kind of look a little stained. A little stained, a little weathered. Alright. Combine those, call that good. And we'll go over kind of doing some shadowing now, the shading. Let's see. So there. Oops. Hit a layer. Didn't want to hide that layer. Ooh, 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 we're on the wrong thing. That's what happened. I got selected onto the wrong layer. That would have been disastrous if I had not caught that soon enough. Go away. How about bring in some here. Alright. Go big. There we go. And I'm seeing some areas where we can clean up some more coloration on the character. We got stuff falling outside of the lines. Let's see here. Kind of try and throw in a little bit of hard shadow there. Bring it back up. Same thing over here. And then also there we are. Okay. Then allow ourselves to clean up. I'm gonna go in with the straight edge tool for this cleanup. Okay, come here. Check our. Bring that down just a smidge. There we go. Just be careful. We got this. Got this. We're still on our lasso tool. That's good because it allows me to do this real quick. And what about this side here? We're just gonna real quick experiment with the lasso tool. Just I think we can do a real quick one like so. Let's get back up here. Clean our standout spots here that are peeking out thanks to some of that darkness. Don't want those little bits standing out getting distracting from the overall image. There's a little bit right there on the cape. Now, combine those down there. And we're going to have to start combining the various shading layers to a degree. Hide him. Go back in my lasso tool to clean up our rooftop setting. Oops. It's still salvageable. Nope. Just a little too. There we are. there. Okay. So, kind of get an idea what our final image is looking like. More or less. It's kind of what I'm envisioning. I think I might just go in with that speckle tool once more. Which one was it? It was this one. Just clean up and add a little bit more. Not too crazy. There we go. Just seemed a little empty. What? Overall, I'm not seeing any major areas I want to tackle, readjust. Ooh, ooh. Small little details, though. Small little details. Let's bring this all the way down. We need to add the actual shading of the character on here a little bit. Largely right there on the top of the rooftop, on the ledge. Ah, I was on the wrong layer. There we go. That would have stuck out like a sore thumb. I just keep going over areas again and again. you get sucked into it with the airbrush tool sometimes. There. All right. Yeah, that was gonna. After I noticed it, it was gonna stick out like a sore thumb. It was gonna stick out like that thumb right there. Okay. So let's get an idea of what kind of envision what the cropped version will look like here. So let's change the color here. Let's bring down our opacity and figure out just what's the dimension we want for this image. Where in the image are we centering him? Just exactly where. So let's experiment here. Okay, I'm feeling like I need to come to at least that building. If I bring it out more, so kind of a wider shot, which actually I can't go that wide, so I gotta kind of keep it about in here. If I right about here. No, I could probably down about there. Now, final piece should look like. So now the question is, do we then take our cloud that is way at the top there and bring him down? The bottom of my layer thing is hiding from me. Come here. There we go. So that being a question, to see if that will kind of tie some things together here. Do that. So, question is, leave that there as it is, like so, or have that open sky there. I kind of feel like I want to leave that cloud at the top of the image there. So something that I could do is we'll take that cloud and we'll go ahead, we'll bring that down. We're going to kind of scrunch it up a little bit. A little bit more. Yeah, something like that. Ah, okay. That was a whole bunch of... Okay. So. It's like I'm undecided whether I leave that cloud there or not. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna bring it down and leave it down. But I'm not gonna scrunch it up this time. I'm just gonna leave it as is. Kind of have it right about there. And there we have it. One last thing I'm gonna do is you always gotta sign your stuff. I do it down here, kind of lower right area, kind of near the character. I'm going to change the size of pencil to always touch up the A. There we are. 60. I want that at 60. There we are. There's our final image. We'll go ahead and save that. I will finish cropping it, and then it's ready to be posted on the various areas that I like to post things on. But, hey, went just a few minutes over the allotted time that I wanted to wrap up at, but I think it went well. We got pretty much everything thrown in here and accomplished that I wanted. Last week we started off sketching, getting the sketch layers in, and then did the lines for the character, and quickly threw in colors for the character, and basically did the quick color layout, setting up the palette for the background as well. That's what we did last week, and this week came in, finished up the background, got that all situated in that first hour, then came back here, did all the shading on the character, and finished up the rooftop settings that he's on. Got that all up, got it more or less where our cropping is going to be, and we're done. There we go. So basically, that's an image, picture drawn in about 4 hours, roughly 4 hours worth of work there. So that's not bad for something like this from me. A lot of times I'll spend a lot more time. I'll spend several days on these things, but really just kind of wanting to quickly get through it, but still have something that looked good, that met the aesthetic and design that I wanted. So I hope you all enjoyed kind of getting a sneak peek at least my art design process, getting to check out one of my other characters, and for the brief little ramblings that I had going on. I know kind of at the beginning, working on the background, I was largely, uh, too distracted. So uh, that will do it for this week. We'll see. I'll kind of have some updates on when the next art stream will be. And regular Friday evening streams will continue going forward. So tomorrow, 8 p.m. to roughly 10 p.m. Central Time, will be session 5 of my Psychonauts playthrough. So stop by for that if you're feeling into that. But hope you all enjoyed that, and we'll chat with you all next time, considering my bit rate is going all over the place, so the stream's going to go down anyway. So, adios.